Objective of being smart. Our objectives of being smart must be based on integrating nuances in logistics and demographics across country. If our yardstick for becoming smart in terms of educational institutions and cities are still the US and the whole western world or so-called globalized world, while we are not even aware of what's happening in our neighborhood, then it is high time that we break this groupthink and stop glorifying globalization that has almost killed local businesses and nectar of variety in the world. It indirectly means we are still colonized, if not in space, in thought. However, it does not mean a complete you also. It just means to act smartly to give a fine blend of what is truly Indian and global. If our competition is to be at par with the so called developed nations of the world, then we can never be. The reason lies in colonial, post colonial, and neo colonial literature. It is a permanent competitive disparity of word and thought that the British created smartly enough years ago. If we as country or nation choose to stay and survive in the grid created by someone who once ruled us and forget what Macaulay did to Vedic education, once the spine of Indian education system and the country, we will never be successful in our attempts in making ourselves a smart country. Our conception of smart must be based completely on Indian systems, demographics, and logistics without forcing the simple crowds of small towns and cities into the aimless rat race of survival of the fittest for nothing. After having done that, we can think of looking out. However, this will definitely need localization of knowledge procedures, businesses, elements, and factors of cultural and social change, etc. How do we monitor and implement smartness? Monitoring smartness would include the tangible and intangible factors of education and education systems. The tangible factors would include skill development, teaching communication, technological research and research methods, knowledge procedures, and acquisition of all people involved in the education system at various levels, not just faculty and students alone. It includes management, government, and non government agencies, etc. Use of technology in various areas of education. This should be done only where required. Translation and implementation of overall knowledge imparted, knowledge acquisition procedures, demographics and employability, learning resources in regional languages across states. The intangible factors can be judged only by observation, will include the intangible factors that can be judged only by observation will include personality transformation, transformation of knowledge through various means per person, hidden talents in students, personal effectiveness of faculty on students, personal lives of people affecting employability. Implementation of our concept of smartness in India must be done at three levels, taking into account the variations in demographics across country. This Ministry of Education is very important. Please note. First, urban, semi-urban and rural. While we try to emerge with a common definition or yardstick of smartness, its implementation will modify it to suit different levels of standards in the above three mentioned locales. Participants in successful implementation of smartness must include parents of students, faculty members, members of management of educational institutions, and representatives from Ministry of HRD and all other ministries irrespective of their indirect involvement in the entire process. Logistics and challenges. The status quo tells that we are focusing on creating employable youth. Our vocabulary comprises words like workforce that reiterates that we want to produce workers through education. It is realistic and not pessimistic if it is proposed that the thought will definitely give rise to a directionless society in future. Reason number one, the end of education cannot be employment. If it has become so over the years, we need to check all the sectors and not just education sector. We also need to check our own content and objectives even before we start preaching the inhabitants in an innocent society about what should and should not be included in curriculum. Our current efforts broadcast a very tasty spicy mix of all parts of the world that is sure to upset the digestion of young masses in future. Reason number two, where it is true we need workforce, it is also true we need skilled workforce, not for the US or to serve the demands of the world outside, but demands within India. For example, our most respected IT community is nothing but a very strong workforce since we only provide IT services and not real technology owing to patents and copyrights issues. Most technology is produced outside India according to their demands. So we need to produce good, ethical, competent leaders in the field of education who can guide themselves and others at all levels. More in video number 3.